Welcome to Tax File Special. I am your host, Laure Bala Hassan. Tax File Special is where we engage with industry leaders shaping Nigeria's economic and tax landscape. In this episode, we join Arabirin Adirunke on our exclusive interview segment with our guests. And now, the news. The Emerging Taxpayers Group, ETG, of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, a dedicated hub for businesses with an annual turnover of less than 1 billion naira, recently held a retreat in Abuja, aimed at improving service delivery and taxpayers' experience. Led by Mr. Kabir Abba, the coordinating director of the group, the ETG serves as a one-stop shop for addressing tax-related matters for emerging businesses. Sa'ah Machidu has the reports.
Mr. Abba, who also represented the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, on the council of the CITN, brings over 25 years of public sector experience to this vital initiative. The retreat themed Emerging Taxpayers, Harnessing Technology and Innovation for Tax Compliance, focused on leveraging modern tools and data-driven solutions to enhance tax compliance and stakeholders' collaboration. Discussion centered around strategic priorities for 2025 with an emphasis on innovation and engagement. The executive chairman of FIRS, Zak Adedeji, underscored ETG's crucial role in achieving compliance through taxpayer engagement and awareness, highlighting its importance in fostering a culture of civic responsibility among Nigerians' emerging businesses. This initiative reinforces FIR's commitment to create a tax-friendly environment while driving national development through effective taxation policies.
Recently, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, paid an official working visit to the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Zak Adedeji, at the Revenue House in Abuja. The meeting underscored the growing partnership between the two nations and their mutual commitment to fostering economic growth and development. And the Federal Inland Revenue Service has reaffirmed its commitment to supporting the Niger State government in revitalizing the local economy through innovative agricultural initiatives. The pledge was made by the executive chairman of FIRS, Zak Adedeji, during a press briefing after a closed-door meeting with Niger State Governor Mohammed Umar Bago at the FIRS office in Abuja. Husseina Ibrahim has the reports.
Adedeji commended Governor Bago, referring to him as a pillar of the economy, for his transformative agricultural policies aimed at ensuring food security and fostering industrial growth. He emphasized the FIRS readiness to collaborate in advancing these vital economic initiatives. The executive chairman also expressed his appreciation for Governor Bago's visit, highlighting their long-standing friendship and mutual commitment to national development.
So you just listed our topic.
Yes.
Can you please share with us some of them?
Okay, so first of all, you say I just posted our government. I just posted my own. So we've been together before the political matter, before I become the chairman and before this. So we just come to Ghana. But apart from that, as you know, that the results that we have in Revenue House is as a result of what economic situation is in the country. And as you see everybody crossing in as farmers. So he is pillar of our economic foundation. Because if we have food security, we can have industrial revolution. So it's one of the pillars, and then we compare notes how we can be useful to wonderful thing he's doing in Niger State. As governor, as one of the pillars of the federation, 1, 2, as one of the pillars of those that want to revitalize this economy. So we've had wonderful conversation, and this is just the beginning. We have a long list of what we continue to do, and we also appreciate you for the support.
Governor Mohammed Umar Bago, a passionate advocate for agriculture and development, explained that his visit was not only to congratulate Adedeji on his recent appointment as FIRS chairman, but also to explore collaborative opportunities. Among the key discussions was the potential implementation of a tax holiday for farmers, a strategic move aimed at boosting food production and accelerating agricultural growth in Nigeria. This collaboration between FIRS and Niger State underscores the shared goal of leveraging agriculture as a catalyst for industrial revolution and sustainable economic progress.
And that's a wrap on the news. Welcome back to Tax Fight Special. This is our exclusive interview segment where we bring you insights straight from the experts shaping tax policy and administration in Nigeria. Today, we have a very special guest, the Chief of Staff to the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Get ready for an enlightening conversation packed with experts' perspectives on tax administration, compliance, and policy direction. Let's dive in. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to Tax Fight by the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Good afternoon.
Excellent. Sir, can you provide us an overview of your role within the Federal Inland Revenue Service and how it contributes to the organization's overall direction?
Okay, my role as the Chief of Staff to the Executive Chairman and as the head of the Strategic Management Office is to ensure that all the vision and aspiration of the chairman for the service is carried out and executed in an efficient manner so that he can then deliver on all the promises that he has for the service. So that entails looking and understanding each of the departments, each of the groups, and making sure that they are working hand in hand and in lockstep together to make sure they are collaborating together to deliver on the task ahead of them as defined by the executive chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. You mentioned groups. Can you just tell us briefly what types of group we have and briefly what their roles are exactly?
We have the large taxpayers group. We have the government medium taxpayers group. We have the small, which the emerging taxpayers group. Then we have this compliance and enforcement taxpayers group. Then we have the corporate service group. We have then the people service group. And then we have the support service group. And then finally, we have the special duties group. Now, like I said, those 8 groups, as I mentioned, are all very different. They are categorized into those who are operational. So the large tax group focuses on large taxpayers, and those are making over 5 billion, I think. Then we have the medium and government tax group. Those focus on public sector mainly and government agencies. And then we have the emerging tax group who are looking at these small and medium-sized companies who are growing. Okay, so those are the operational groups. But then there is the compliance and enforcement. I know we will talk more about compliance and enforcement is one key area that is driving tax administration across the world. Our ability to improve on our voluntary compliance is very important. So this group focuses on that. They focus on tax policies and all those other international relations around taxes. So then you now think about the support service group. And one of the areas that the executive chairman has really focused on is what he called the beyond revenue. How does it support? How does our procurement, how is it done better? How is our facilities being maintained? How is our workplace being used properly? And people, because where you work actually says a lot on about how you work. So the importance of the support service group cannot be overstated. And of course, everybody knows the people service group is where the human resources group is. And in the human resources group, you find out that they have to manage the 11,000 still growing staff strength of FRS. So, and after that, then you also look at the corporate. So the corporate service group are working on our corporate posture, corporate governances. And then finally, we have the special duties group. We call them the last child, because as taxation is evolving, there are even some areas of taxation that do not fit into typical tax administration organization structure. So the special taxpayers group special duty is focused on those areas. Initiative like the new tax reform bill, the pension act, so many things that the special tax group is focusing on. So those are those 8. So because of the diversity of and their focus, we then have to make sure they all still work together, because ultimately all these are to work together to deliver on the target as set to us by the government.
Looking at this, it's obvious you have a large team of people that work with you. So, which takes me to the next question. How do you now work together with these groups to achieve FRS's revenue targets, and also for optimal direction of the organization?
Well, so one of the peculiarity of the role of a chief of staff, I think, is what I call the jack of all, the master of none. So the ability to make sure that each of these groups are how large they are, that you know enough about them, and you know about what they are supposed to be doing and what their expectations are or deliverables are, and then you're able to nudge them on behalf of the executive chairman and on behalf of the service. So the way I've done it is I've created an open door policy, again, like I said, and I've also made sure that there is no island around the chairman. Everybody gets access to the chairman, they understand his vision, and that vision is trickling down to everybody. Getting all the people to work together has been the most important part of my job. And I think so far so good. We made our target for last year. We have a new target for this year of 25.2 trillion, and we're on the way to achieving that.
People management is something that is, it has to be a gift, I think. So how have you been able to manage your team? Because as it is, FRS has over 11,000 staff. So how have you been able to cope managing people?
Well, so my past experience in corporate world and public service have always tell me something. Human beings are diverse. The diversity of all of us. Some are thin-skinned, some are thin-skinned. Some people are sensitive. Some people are not sensitive at all. So the ability to understand that people are different, and that FRS with our 11,000 group, I call it workforce. I call it a mini Nigeria. So you can understand that FRS have a representation of every part of our country, and that creates the opportunity for us to come together and work together. And you find out that people just want to be, want people to hear them. Yeah. So once you create an opportunity for people that they can express their grievances, and they can, we have a methodology in place that those grievances can be addressed, and we create as much of transparency as possible. And what the chairman used to term open management, so that everybody is open to understand what is expected of them. And that's why one of the major areas that we've been focusing on is collaboration. And collaboration, when everybody knows that it is one service, it is one target, it is one country we have. And in these challenging times where the revenue is very important to our government to deliver on their promises. So once everybody is aligned, it's making my life easier.
All right, well done, sir. That is quite inspirational. I also picked from what you just said. So I will probably, of course, I will also, apply it to my own day-to-day role.
Good. So it trickles down and it goes up.
Yes, sir. So with voluntary compliance being a focal part of FRS, what initiatives have you been able to introduce to the office to foster taxpayer engagement and adherence to tax laws? You know, compliance is key, actually.
All right, so that's a very important and interesting question. So globally, compliance is where every tax administration is pulling to. And what we find out is you can audit people, you can chase people around, but once we can get enough of taxpayers to work and to make sure they are complying with the tax rules and they are filing their taxes on time and accurately, that is where the future is. So in order to achieve that, one of the most primary important thing is simplification of taxes. The ability for it not to be intimidating. That I always say, paying taxes or tax itself is hard to pay. So paying it we shouldn't make it harder. So we want a situation where there is a lot more simplification, multi-channel of payment. That is one of the areas that we've been deepening our competency in and availing our taxpayers multi-channels to pay. We're also looking at, again, talking about voluntary compliance. We're looking at tax education, understanding what is expected of you from legally and from a regulatory perspective as a citizen of a country or as a business entity within a country. And again, looking at compliance, it's very important that people know that it is transparent, that everybody is paying. Once I feel that not I'm the only one paying or there is only a sector that is paying, then it becomes not fair. So the ability to deepen the fairness of tax is also a very important area that we're looking at, and that we believe these things are going to help us to drive up compliance. But lastly, but not the least, is digitization. So voluntary compliance is about, again, reporting your taxes on time and accurately. Now, what most advanced tax administrations in the world, of which we're aspiring to become one of them, as you see from our vision statement, is that we want to know, even before you tell us, what your tax liabilities or status will be. So the ability to integrate a lot of tax data and insights from those data can help us to even predict what your taxes for the year will be is very important. So data and the aggregation of this data across all our business environment is going to help us to drive up more compliance, so that even when you are tempted not to tell, we already know. So and you find out that, so because we already know, there's no reason for you not to tell, not to file on time, because we'll know exactly what is going on.
Thank you so much for that explanation. Can you tell us more about this electronic invoicing? It sounds quite interesting.
Okay, so again, if you look at tax administration journey, of course, we started with paper filing, where people bring their papers and they declare their income, and then they get their accountants, and then they come into the offices to file. And when in those days, when you go into the tax offices, you see a pile of paper and all that. So we moved from that to what we created, the Tax Pro, which is now as a tax administration tool that people can log into and then be able to file their taxes. And that has gone on for the last 4 years. We're now in the process of an upgrade to that Tax Pro Max application with an upgraded version that is even going to be more interactive, that is going to do a lot of pre-filling of all the tax data that the customer is going to use to file his taxes. So again, continue to make it easier. But even in the world of tax administration, we've gone from 1.2 to 2.2. But the golden land and the North Star of where tax administration is going is an ability to become actually natural as part of your business. And that's why we launched the electronic invoicing, which is part of our fiscalization strategy. And that is actually going to be where large taxpayers, medium taxpayers, will be able to, as part of integration into their accounting solutions, into all the other softwares that they use, electronic resource planning solutions, will be able to integrate it where they will not even have to do much more. The data that they need to file their taxes will already be within the system. And then so 90% of what they need will already, other than what they need to file the taxes and what we need to complete our assessment, will all be integrated together and make life easy for everybody. And every time the chairman talks about data collections and all the technology advancement, he made sure that this year, part of what the strategic focus should be is technology integration, so that we can be integrated to all the other government agencies who are part of the tax ecosystem.
Thank you so much, sir. There's a saying that data technology is like oxygen now. I mean, there's nothing we can do without them. So I'm also happy to hear that FRS is expanding on data and the usage of technology as well. Well done to you and your team, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In fact, to that point that you just said, the cliche is that data is the new oil. So we are creating data as we're speaking together right now.
Yeah, of course. So of course, whatever we do, there will be challenges. Looking at how you cope from day to day and all of that, how do you manage the challenges?
I think, again, challenges are part of life and they are part of work experiences. And so for me, I think the executive chairman has made my job much easier because he had really articulated the vision for the organization. And once those challenges come, the first thing I go back to for me is understanding. I always believe that once we understand what the challenge is, it's never as bad as we think. So as an organization and as individuals, I always think the cup is half empty. I try to think of it as half full all the time. So, and I say something that we should make our good better. So we believe that we are on the right path to greater goods and greater goal for ourselves and our career. So managing has always been for me just keeping a positive attitude and knowing fully well that once we define what the challenge is, we will solve it. And that has always been my mantra to work. And that's what I advise the people that I work with all the time.
All right, thank you. So which will bring us to the last question. Some taxpayers can be so, resistant. They don't want to pay tax. And there's even billionaires don't want to pay taxes. So how are you able to overcome the challenge of ensuring that people pay their tax?
That's a very good question. So like I said before, tax itself is difficult to pay across the world. It's not the Nigerian thing, it's not an African thing, it's a global thing. People find it very difficult generally. So making that payment should now be much easier. And so the challenge of people who are reluctant, one of the areas that we think has really helped and can help is their ability to deploy more technology to make it more easier for them to pay. For example, we have a fiscalization project, which is under the electronic e-invoicing program that we are developing, which will make it easier, will become almost second nature for most of our large taxpayers, where the data that they need to file their taxes is already with us. There is a data interchange that is seamless, that is not disruptive to their day-to-day business, that they do not have to sit and say, okay, this is a tax month, this is a tax year. But they can literally be a dynamic exchange between both sides, that what they will file, we already know, they already know. So simplification is key. Tax simplification and electronic e-invoicing is going to be one of those major game changers that we think will take us there.
All right, thank you, sir. So looking ahead, what are your key priorities and strategies to further strengthen tax administration and improve service delivery in Nigeria?
I think most important for us is, so globally, people are moving away from even the term taxpayer to customers. So I think once we start thinking of the customer centricity mantra that we're following, that our taxpayers, who are our customers, deserve the best from us in terms of service, in terms of product, in the way we engage them, then we have to start from inside. So the executive chairman over the years have been talking about, we should, even beyond revenue collection, we should be a great organization that is focused on our citizens, who are the customers, who are the reason why we are actually here today. So as we continue into this journey, our focus on customer centricity is very important, and I think that is one major area that will see us into the future.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for your time with us. We hope to have you some other time on TaxFi.
You're welcome.
That was an insightful conversation with the Chief of Staff to the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Tayo Kole-Osho. We hope you gained valuable knowledge about tax administration, compliance strategies, and the evolving economic landscape. A huge thank you to our guests for joining us and also for sharing such impactful insights. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. See you in the next one.
And that's a wrap on this special edition of Tax File. Thank you for your time. Until next time, I am Laure Bala Hassan, FIRS, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.